Middle East, a region in which the U.S. has interfered, waged wars, and struck deals. Critics have blamed the country for creating a mess to further its geopolitical goals. For decades, a change in administration in Washington didn't significantly alter its Middle East policy. But since January 2017, Trump's decision has left his own party surprised, allies frustrated, and analysts puzzled.
It is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
December 2017, Donald Trump did what past U.S. president had shied away from. Jerusalem recognized as Israel's capital, and the U.S. embassy relocated. Expectedly, Israel welcomed the move, and Palestinians were up in arms, and the U.S. Middle Eastern allies were left perplexed. Next on Trump's radar was Iran.
Terrible, terrible deal that should have...
He repeatedly criticized the 2015 Iran nuclear deal during his election campaign, calling it one of the worst deals in U.S. history. After taking over, the U.S. president did walk the talk. On May the 8th last year, Trump overturned Barack Obama's biggest foreign policy decision.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
Economic sanctions were reimposed despite opposition from all the stakeholders, including U.S. allies. Iran protested the move and accused the U.S. of going back on its word. Actions against Iran meant Trump was completely dependent on Saudi Arabia to drive his foreign policy in this region. Saudis bought arms and promised investments. The relationship faced its biggest test in October, when journalist Jamal Khashoggi was killed in a Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. Despite pressure from his own party and the U.S. Senate, Trump publicly backed the Saudis, but this failed to persuade Saudi Arabia to formally end its military operation in Yemen. But experts say the biggest surprise was Trump's decision to pull out troops from Syria after a phone conversation with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in December.
So Syria was lost long ago. It was lost long ago. And besides that, we're talking about sand and death.
Analysts believe Trump's Syria move and the subsequent retreat symbolizes ever-changing Middle East policy. They say it defies logic and lacks clarity. Just a week after he announced the withdrawal, he made his first-ever visit to the war zone with a surprise trip to Iraq, where he said he has no plan at all to remove American troops from this country. In a later interview, Trump said he is doing so to monitor and pressure neighboring Iran. The New York Times also reported that Washington has quietly been negotiating with Iraq to allow troops now operating in Syria to shift to Iraq. In another war-torn country in this region, Yemen, Trump continues to support airstrikes on Houthis despite mounting violence. And so, U.S. unilateral policymaking on Iran and Syria has led to even more anger from his allies in Europe and shaken their mutual trust in Middle East affairs. With Nyan Seth and Yangzhou for CGTN.